Item number 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Director Van Dam to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would please mute their phone, that would be helpful.
Would you please stand and put your hand on your heart, follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gary, your microphone is breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Did you hear the pledge? You want me to read it?
No, it's okay. It just, your connection is a little bit, at least in our boardroom, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, well,
We could go along with you, so we're all right. Thank you very much, Director Van Dam. Item 3, roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Division 7.
Roll call. Vote, sorry.
Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
here,
Division 6, Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Paris.
here,
Division 4, Justin Lane. Justin. Division 3, Frank Otto.
here,
Division 2, Keith Dias.
here,
Division 1, Shelley Sorcible.
Here.
General Manager Chisholm.
here,
Attorney Mr. Markman.
I'm here.
And Holly Hughes present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Item number 4, adoption of agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
This is Rob. We adopt the agenda.
Second.
Did Rob do the motion?
Yes.
And Keith did the second. Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
Yes,
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Justin Lane. Frank Donato.
yes,
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Shelley Sorcible.
Yes. Okay, the agenda is adopted. Item number 5, public comment period and period open to the public. This is the portion of the agenda that allows individuals the opportunity to address the board on any item. Do I have any public members that would like to identify themselves or would like to speak to the board?
Yes, the Rosamond News from Kern County would like to address the board with the fact that both the online and print publications are attending the meeting, as well as Lake Los Angeles News online and print, and Acton Agua Dulce News online and print.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Item number 6, new business. We have no new business, so we'll go on to item 7, the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent calendar. This is Keith.
This is Audrey. I will second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam.
yes,
Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Justin Lane is trying to get on the line right now, so hopefully he'll be with us shortly. Frank Donato.
yes,
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Shelley Sorcible.
Yes. Consent calendar is approved. Item number 8, items for consideration and possible action. Item 8A, Finance Committee, Director Donato.
Yes, Finance Committee met yesterday, went over the bills, and Dwayne gave us a presentation on the East Side treatment plant. Can you now give this to the board, full board, please?
Yes, I'll ask John Bosnian to provide that staff report for the board on the turbidity meters.
Hi, good evening, everybody. If you remember last Tuesday at the board workshop, we presented a number of asset replacement and improvement items. And this is the first item that we're going to bring before the board for approval. And this is the purchase and installation of 10 Hawk turbidimeter instruments for the Eastside treatment plant. Very quickly, a turbidimeter measures the clarity of the water. It's how you tell how effective your treatment process is from beginning to end, and there is an MCL for turbidity, so it's very important to have the latest and most up-to-date instruments. So we're going to upgrade Eastside to the same turbidimeters that Quartz Hill has, and we'll probably do Rosamond next year. The budget for this item was $60,000, and the cost with tax came in at $57,910.71. With that being said, we would ask the board to consider approving that expenditure.
Okay, I'll make a motion on 8A1 that we approve the $57,910.71 for the Hatch Company. Is that what it is?
It's Hawk.
Hawk? Okay.
Do we have a second?
This is Director Lane. I'll second.
Thank you, Director Lane. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Shelley Sourceable.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion 8A1 passed. Okay, item 8B, new projects funding source, grants committee. Director Paris.
Hi, I'm going to turn this over to Dwayne, please.
Yes, board president, Sourceable, members of the board. This item tonight is a request for. Let me check.
Holly, you'll need to unmute Dwayne.
He's working on it. Not a problem.
We can hear you now.
You can hear me now? Okay, great. So this item is a grant application from the Bureau of Reclamation through the Water Smart Grant Program. This is for the Eastside Water Bank Expansion Project. The Bureau of Reclamation recently announced the Water Smart Drought Response Program for 2021. What the program does is leverages federal dollars with non-federal dollars in order to increase water supply reliability, build some resiliency into the overall water system through investments in infrastructure. The Eastside Water Bank project is potentially eligible to receive this grant funding under the program. It meets the criteria quite nicely. Potential funding available for the project is $1.5 million, and it's on a 50-50 cost share basis. I'm sorry. The East Bank project was approved by Avek's Board of Directors on July 1st, 2021 with the approval of the budget. The budgeted amount was $2,750,000. If the agency receives the grant funding through this program, we would be able to receive $1.5 million in grant funds that would reduce the cost of the project to $1,250,000. A resolution approving participation in the program is required to be eligible to apply for the grant funding. There's no fee to submit an application. This particular grant application would meet the strategic planning goals outlined. Goal 2, water reliability, water quality, and financial integrity. The new project force funding sources and grants committee took a look at this and is recommending approval to move forward. This grant will be prepared by Townsend and Associates under their retainer, so there's no additional cost associated with preparing the grant. And with that, we would staff is recommending approval of the resolution authorizing the agency to apply for this grant from the Bureau of Reclamation. Be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
And at this time, I will move that we approve Board Order 8B1.
I'll second it.
And just for the board to know, this has come before our committee and we unanimously have recommended that it be approved by the board.
Okay, do I have any questions from anyone? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
You must be muted.
Gary Van Dam,
Please go on. You can come back.
okay. Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Shelley Sourceable.
Yes.
Gary, are you on the line?
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, next is item 8C1, adjudication water master, Director Donato. Director Donato, you just wiped out my screen.
Actually,
It's Rob.
Bart.
It's Rob, not me. That's why I was.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay. I was.
Something happened to change my screen. Rob, please.
Yeah, Shelley, I'll have Dwayne make the presentation on this also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Board President, Sourcewell, members of the board, this particular item is associated with the landowner election of the landowner representative and alternate elections for 2020. I have a short PowerPoint presentation to assist the board members in explaining this item. The Water Cluster Board is made up of 5 members, including 2 landowner representatives and 2 alternate landowner representatives. They are selected by a majority vote of the landowners identified in Exhibit 4 of the physical solution, and voting rights are based on your proportionate share of production rights. Landowner representatives have alternating terms, and they serve 4 years, and so that elections occur every 2 years. For the current election, Avek may vote for 1 landowner representative and 1 alternate landowner representative. Derek Yurosek is the only candidate for landowner representative, and for that reason, the committee is recommending, and staff recommends that that since he's running unopposed, that he would be the selection of the of the board. There are two candidates running for landowner alternate representative. Those are George Chappelle and Adrienne Reca. Ms. Reca is the incumbent, and she's done her job very well, is always there and able to take on the duties when asked upon. And for that reason, the committee took a look at her past record and her resume, and is recommending to the full board that the agency cast its vote for Ms. Reca as the alternate representative for the Water Master Board, landowner representative for the Water Master Board. I'm sorry, pushed the wrong button there. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
This is Rob. I just want to add to Wayne's presentation in that Derek Yurosek has been an alternate prior. He has done a very good job on the Water Master Board on the times that he has served. And it's not only because he's the only candidate, it's also because he is a very good selection on our part for that position. And our committee has recommended Derek Yurosek as the board member and Adrienne as the alternate. And with that, I would move approval of board order 8C1 if that's what it reflects.
I second that.
Gary, are you trying to say something?
Yes, I second that.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion?
Yes, can you hear me, Director Van Dam?
Yeah, you're breaking up though.
Okay. George Capello is also a carrot grower. He works for Grim White Farms. And our concern was is if we had two carrot growers on the board at the same time. So we had that's why the exhibit 4 Landowners Representative. So we don't have two carrot growers on the board at the same time serving as water master.
Well, that's good logic to my ears, anyways. Any other comments?
Yeah, this is Rob. We don't discriminate against carrot growers, so that wasn't what the committee based their selection on.
Okay, anything else? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Kelly Sorsable.
Yes. Thank you, motion passes. Item 8D1, Personnel Legal JPIA Committee. Director Paris, you've been busy this month.
We've had a lot of committee meetings. Yes, we did have the COVID-19 compliance plan come before our committee twice. We have reviewed it in depth, and we are unanimously recommending it. And I will let Dwayne do the presentation to the board on our COVID-19 compliance plan.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Board President Sourceful, members of the board. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, COVID-19 compliant plan has been established and implemented. Site-specific plans have been developed for each one of our facilities that include key topics, and most recently the plan was updated with specific guidelines for mask wearing. Adoption of the plan minimizes risks, providing clear direction for following safety measures and protocols. As Rob indicated, this plan has come before the committee on two different separate occasions, and we reviewed it in detail to make sure that all of the director concerns were addressed, and it's ready for adoption. for use until such time as we need to modify or change it for any reason. But moving on forward to protect our employees and the public. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
At this time, this is Rob. I'll move approval of Board Order 8D1.
This is Director Miller. I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam. Audrey Miller.
Yes.
Robert Paris.
Yes.
Justin Lane.
Yes.
Frank Donato.
Yes.
Keith Dias.
Yes.
Joyce Orsival.
Yes. Item 8D1 passes. As a side note, the committee looked at this COVID-19 compliance plan very carefully, and I feel good about the end result of what we came up with to protect both our employees and the public. Item 9, old business, we have none. 10, general manager's report on water supply projects and programs.
Yes, I'd like to have Justin Lipsey, our engineering manager, come forward and give his monthly update on the High Desert Water Bank project.
Good evening, President Sarswell, members of the board. You all got a very thorough update on the High Desert Water Bank project a couple weeks ago from Mr. Joe Long of Stantec, so I'll keep this fairly brief this time, but please stop me and ask any questions that you might have. This is our standard format report. This is the July 2020 board update. And just to remind everybody what the project's goals are, we want to recharge and recover up to 70,000 acre feet of water per year out of the East Branch of the State Water Project. And some of the short-term goals coming up over the next 3 months is to continue the necessary land acquisitions, actually this item number 2 has been mostly completed. The geotechnical test pits was started and finished just last week. And then we've started the piezometer drilling, which are small, narrow wells that measure the water as it flows down through the groundwater basin as we recharge. They're completing the calibration of the initial groundwater model, and upcoming into the next couple months, we'll be soliciting and selecting a drilling contractor for the 4 full-scale test recovery wells. Find everybody who the program partners are. We have Metropolitan on the left there. Kennedy Jenks is providing the agency with some program management support. Stantec is our design consultant. We have our legal team helping us with the land acquisitions, and construction management will be forthcoming. Some of the recent program management activity, the first phase of the geotechnical field exploration was completed. They're working on the groundwater model, calibrating that. And as you recall from a couple weeks ago, they're working on a hydrology model to visualize the way that the flood flows may impact our facilities there, and finding a way to reroute that. As you recall, we approved an amendment to Stantec's contract, which was for some of the additional field exploration work, including the piezometer drilling, and that's started last week. And continuing on the land acquisition, as I mentioned before. Coming up in the next couple months, there will be another amendment to the Stantec contract for the drilling services. The one recently approved did include all the field work by Stantec, but this one will be specifically for the contractor's drilling efforts. So we'll be looking forward to that in the next couple months. That's going to be bid out, and then we'd select the lowest bid based on that outcome. And moving on to the next slide. So 23 geotechnical borings were completed as part of the phase 1 field exploration. Those soil samples are being analyzed at the lab. Hydrology modeling, as I mentioned, is ongoing, and the alternatives for the turnouts into the phase 1 recharge area are still being looked at, and the pros and cons are being weighed. Initial groundwater model is almost done, and as I mentioned, the geotechnical test pit exploration is completed. Here's a photo of the gentleman out in the field doing some of those soil samples on the test pits. Always nice to have a little visual on what's going on out there. And then here's the piezometer well drilling. I think that moves, yeah. So that's what they're doing out in the field. They're doing quite a few of those, and then they're going to install PVC casing so they can monitor the water as it is being recharged. Recap of the budget here. As we know, the project has an estimated capital cost of $131 million, and this is basically the way that it's been broken down here in this column. We've approved and completed the preliminary design. We've approved Stantec's contract. This includes the amendment, $3.8 million, which is 72% of the budget for that item. And then our program management contract with Kennedy Jenks here, and the land acquisition costs here. So total, so far, we've committed 11.4% of the budget, which leaves us with about $116 million available still within the budget. These are the contracts that we've entered into so far. This is Stantec's original contract. This is the amendment the board approved a couple weeks ago. And this is the payout that we've had to Stantec to date, which is 5% of the total contracts. This is some of the program management activity. A lot of this you saw previously. A couple new items. Here's the 2 Stantec invoices that we've paid, which amounts to that $209,000. And various other activities in here is related to payments to Kennedy Jenks as well as land acquisition costs. Quick overview of the schedule. I'm going to start right here kind of in the middle. You've seen all of that before. This is when the geotechnical drilling began. Looks like June 26th to me. The approval of the Stantec amendment by the board on July 14th. Piezometer drilling just began last week and is expected to go on for about 4 weeks or so. It should be completed towards the end of August. And then looking into August and September, late September, we're looking for the contract with the drilling contractor to begin on those test recovery wells. Nothing to be too worried about right now. Everything is on track and on budget, so it's looking good. And that's it. So does anybody have any questions? Be happy to answer those now.
Very good presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, on to the general manager's report.
Yes, this is a report for January 27th. You can see the Northern California is very hot, over 100 degrees, and there's really no rain possible other than some possible thunderstorms. This diagram here illustrates that even further. You can see that during the month of July here, we expect no rain at all, and very little, next to nothing in August, and very little in September. So as you look at the is our chart, this is a line that has to do with how many inches of rain that's involved. And right now we're looking at 31.7 inches right now. When we're right here, you can see that in most years this moves along fairly straight line, so we don't expect any additional precipitation through the balance of the year, and we'll start all over again in October. Looking at the reservoir conditions, you can see that we're actually in pretty good shape in San Luis Reservoir, about 95% of historical average, about 48% of its capacity. And then the current level of water bill is 73% of historical average and about 54% of its historical average. And if you look at the blue lines and some of the other reservoirs around the state, you can see they're right at average or a little bit below, but certainly well within manageable ranges for water supply this year. As you look a little further into Oroville Dam, here's the average line here, this blue line, as you can see. So we came up here pretty close to average in December and January, and then we've kind of scaled off. And you can see we're on the downhill slide. We'll hit our bottom probably late August, early September. Similarly, we have the same conditions here in San Luis Reservoir. You can see we're getting pretty close to average in through here. This is, you'll see quite a bit of pumping that'll occur through the Delta, but very little will be stored in San Luis. And you can see in September is when we try to get it down to a lower level so we can capture the new storms coming in. Closer to home, it's been warm, and consequently the flow has increased noticeably. You can see that on the 7-day average of all the treatment plants, we're moving close to 41.1 million gallons a day. In addition to that, you had about 10 million gallons a day that were put in, 10 to 11 million gallons a day, I should say, from the geopurification process. So we have close to 50 million gallons a day of water being served to the customers here in the Antelope Valley. As far as our water banking, we're primarily done for the year. With the only water banking that we're doing is over on the east side water bank, where we're trying to place some water in so that we can pull it out for water quality purposes. This chart here is a historical chart to where we're tracking the recoverable amounts of water that we have in storage. And you can see right now the amount of water that we have available to the agency is 94,047 acre feet. And wanted to make note that we completed the transfer of 11,443 acre feet from Western Development and Homer that had stored in the Willow Springs. That was transferred over to the Avek facilities to complete that water exchange and transfer for a couple of years ago. So now it's safely within, accounted for within the Avek water bank. This is the customer requests versus actual deliveries. You can see in June we had 83%. In May they were at 97%. And so you can see the requests increase during these next 3 months. And we'll keep this graph going for the board to continue to monitor actual usage of water that's been requested from the agency. As far as water quality goes, we're maintaining our water quality goals for THMs. The summertime heat, although it has really affected the water quality of the raw water, is much more difficult to treat. But we still maintain the same finished water quality standards that we've had in the past. Took a small walk out into the treatment plant yesterday, and you could sure see the difference between the influent and the effluent of the water that's being provided. The staff's doing a great job of meeting all the federal and state standards for water quality. And when we look at our operation maintenance updates, we have Aqua Aerobotics performing the ozone system maintenance at all 3 treatment plants. We also have American Fiberglass coming in to do a repair on the hypochlorite plant, tank number 2, or at the east side. And then we're starting on our planning for our 2020 winter maintenance projects. Phillips Labs continues to be on track for completion in late September. We have some applications for an operator and electrician to fill 2 vacancies with interviews scheduled in late July. And then we have our, as I mentioned previously, the raw water quality continues to degrade due to pH and high temperatures. And we've used some polymer to add to the filters at Port Sale and East Side plant in order to control those turbidities. From a regulatory and legislative update, today the governor released his final version of the water resiliency portfolio. This is supposed to be the state's water policy roadmap and guide efforts throughout the state. They had 14 actions that were added and 5 were cut. Staff will take a look at this item and we'll report back if there's any relevancy to Avek initiatives or activities as we move forward. But I want to let you know that that was released. You may see something in the news with regards to that. Regulatory and legislative updates. The legislative session is going to end on 8/30 of 20. So about a month left to go. The climate resiliency bond is dead, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And then America's Water Infrastructure Act and Water Resources Development Act. These are a bipartisan bill that passed. They're on the federal side. They passed by the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and we'll see how well they do moving forward. We continue to monitor that. And then HR 7073 is for special districts to provide special services. And what this act would allow federal dollars to mitigate the impacts that on special districts for the COVID-19 expenditures. As far as our COVID-19 response, as you heard today, we've adopted our compliance plans. We have no new cases of COVID-19 to report. We have a 7-day period, just from the state's point of view, the 7-day period positive numbers, 9,800 positives per day. 14-day period positive rate about 7.5%, and hospitalization numbers and ICU numbers are increasing, but at a less severe rate than we've had in the past weeks. As far as events and schedules, we have some teleconferences for the National Water Resources Association. We have a water master meeting on the 28th of August, and my schedule is I'll planning to go on vacation on Friday through the following week, and be back on August 10th. I'll still be close by and available, but we'll be out of the office for that period of time. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'll move on to item number 11. And thank you very much for your report, Mr. Chisholm. Item 11, director's reports. Do any of the directors have anything to report?
This is Director Miller. I did sign up for that National Water Resource Association table talk, and that's 6 events over 6 weeks, all online, and the recording will be available as well. So I'll be listening to that for a couple hours each Thursday to hear more about what they're doing.
That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Any other reports? Okay. Item 12, attorney report.
I do not have a report tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 13, requests for future agenda items. Does anyone have any requests? Item 14, closed session. Which items are we going into closed session on tonight?
Item C and item D.
Okay, great. All right, let's take a 10-minute break.
I'll make a motion. We go into closed session on items 14, C, and D. This is Keith.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Gary Van Dam,
Yes.
Audrey Miller,
Yes.
Robert Paris,
Yes.
Justin Lane,
Yes.
Frank Donato,
Yes.
Keith Dias,
Yes.
Kelly Slipsicle.
Yes, motion passes. We will go into closed session in 10 minutes at 7:20.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a different number.
Thank you.
If any of the public wants to stay on the line, we're going to end this meeting, and then you can get back on and wait until we get back online if you want to do that. We'll have any reportable after that.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you.